So I'm very happy to be invited to give this very short reflection to prepare ourselves for the coming Holy Week celebration as part of our preparation for the biggest celebration of Christianity, and that is the Easter Sunday. The whole of our Christian life is geared towards the biggest celebration, which is the Easter Sunday, the fulfillment of God's promises to us and the Savior in the person of Jesus Christ. And His resurrection from the dead is the final confirmation of His messianic mission, His mission, no? To save humanity from death of sin into the newness of life. The Holy Father Pope Francis, no, is preparing the Church for this great Synod of 2023, and that is the Synod on Synodality. In fact, it is a 3-year celebration of Synod on Synodality that started last year, this year, and the next year in Rome, Italy. What is this Synod on Synodality? So I'm not going to there are so many things to discuss about this Synod on Synodality, but given the time constraint, I will just be talking about the core, no, the main discussion on this Synod on Synodality. It is unprecedented because it is the first time the pre-Synod on Synodality usually is a gathering of bishops, no, in the church. But this time it is not just a gathering of bishops, but it is a gathering of all the stakeholders of the church, and that is the consecrated men and women, and that is the lay faithful and others, no, people of good faith, no, even people of good faith, no, that doesn't necessarily belong to the Christian church, no, but believe in God. No, so it is also in a way an ecumenical movement, no. Synod on Synodality practically is journeying together, no, and listening as a listening church. To journey together as a listening church, no. So listening, no, to listen. This is something that most Christians, no, we lose sight of the importance and the great value of listening, no. Why? Because if given the chance, if given the opportunity, we do a lot of talking, no? Because we thought that when we talk a lot, we are going to share a lot. But there are also occasions wherein silence is more eloquent than words, no? Being silent is eloquent than words. According to one contemporary theologian, he said, word loses its meaning when it is not born out of silence, no? Word loses its meaning when it is not born out of silence, no? So it is very important that as a church, we have to be a listening and also a silent church, no? That is why very beautiful that despite of a very busy schedule during these days, no, that we are now recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, and hopefully everything will return to normal, we find time to listen and to be in silence, no? In silence, no? To listen and to be in silence. There are 3 important topics, no, into that Synod on Synodality, no? What that is: participation, communion, and mission, no? Participation, communion, and mission, no? So again, participation, communion, and mission. And let me talk about these 3 core topics in the Synod on Synodality: participation, communion, and mission. First, participation. The Holy Father Pope Francis wanted a church that is a participatory church. What do you mean by participatory church? No? That in the life of the church, every stakeholder has something to say. So it is not a one-direction church. In the olden times, no, if you are born during the pre-baptismal council or during the time mga 1970, it is always the bishop, it is always the priests who will decide, who make decision, no, in the life of the faith community. That is why nowadays, wala na tayo terminology nga ora paroko. No? There is no more term. As much as possible, we take out the term parish priest. No? Wala na tayo parish priest. Kung sa may gitawag na to, team ministry. And the leader is called the team moderator. So again, team ministry, and the leader is
Moderator.
team moderator, no? So team moderator. So nobody, no among the members in the faith community, no within the parish life is high and above than the others. But everyone is in equal footing, And that is very symbolic when the Holy Father Pope Francis was elected Pope. What was his first gesture? The Holy Father removed the riser of his papal throne. What do you mean by riser of the papal throne? No? Sa una, no, during the time of Pope Benedict, the Pope is always elevated from the rest. Elevated, no? Taas siya sa uban. No? Okay, taas siya nga sa uban ang Santo Papa. But as a gesture, the Holy Father removed the razor. Why? Because he wanted to be in equal footing with the faithful. Why? Because in order for dialogue to happen, we have to be standing on the same ground, right? We will be standing on the same ground. Sabi ito ko'y sa may active sa Facebook din no? Sa Facebook, dagang kita makatunan, no? Dagang kita makatunan. Post na ba ko sa Facebook, dagang kayo ni comment. Ingon ko nga, dili ko BBM, dili ko kang line, imuhar ako. Imuhar ako. Okay. Ay, ganito sa Facebook, no? That's what the Holy Father said. We have to be equal footing, no? Why? Because when we place somebody on the pedestal, no, we put them high and above, then we give them the authority to look down on us, right? When we are going to place somebody up, then we give them the authority to look down on us. Kailangan ko sa babaw, di ba? And they will be looking down on us. Remembering, dito sa Rome, sa Vatican, sa Rome, naa dito ang mga general houses, kanang mga balay sa mga religious communities, no? The Augustinians, the Jesuits, no? Diha sa Rome, ang balay sa mga Augustinians naababaw sa bukid, no? Unya ang balay sa mga Jesuit naa sa ubos sa general house sa Augustinians, no? So babaw din bukid, yung babaw dito ang sa Augustinians, ang ubos ang sa Jesuit, no? Dahil joke dito ingon sila nga this is the only place where we can look down the Jesuits. Yato sa balay dito kay naman mis taas, nila sa ubos. So this is the only place that we can look down the Jesuits, no? Okay, no? So again, participatory church, no? So we have to be a listening church and everyone has to have an active participation in the life of the church, no? Unya, perhaps sa inyong kaugalingon nga kasinatian as a church, no? Kung active mo sa parish life, isa may kinataasan og storya, who has the say, no? Usually katong kinataasan og ihi, no? So meaning Mamas Mayor, mo leader sa CWL, no? Kay Mamas Mayor, no? Unya ang konsehal, asawa mo ay president sa president sa etc. No, those who are in position in our authorities. Tumuo sa na sa leader sa simbahan niya. Sila na sa gihapon na way puli-puli, no? Unya katong naa sa kilid, mga chapel leaders kagikan sa bukid, no? Igabot niya sa live sa community niya sa ubos, kuno na gathering, masabi to tihuga sa plato gihapon. No? Ha? Hugas sa plato. Ito natin joke sad nga. Lahi na yun yung kalibutan. No? Kaya kung natin bisitan dato, mag-ihaw yung tagmanok. No? Kaya natin bisitan dato, kumatos balay sa pobre. No? Pero kung pobre, kumatos balay sa dato, hugasos plato. Tinood na dili. Kung natin bisitan dato, mangandang yun tayo, pagawas ang the best. No? Mahutang yun tayo, ihaw yung tagmanok. Pero ang pobre mo bisita ba sa dato, kaugasan ko ng plato, no? So meaning, in the life of the church, no, participation of all the stakeholders, ina tong Santo Papa, even those who are in the margins of the society. Ang kanang margins sa society, dapat represented na sila diha sa life of church. E ano man, in the beginning, the church was never an influential and rich church. Sa sugdanan di man dato ang simbahan, no? Unsa man ang simbahan? It was a shared community, sharing in what they have and sharing the little that they have, no? Later on naman to ang simbahan na dato, no? Nga ang emperor nahimo siya Katoliko, si Reina Elena nahimo siya Katoliko, and they donated so much to the church. Mga hari nahimo silang Katoliko, they donated. But in the beginning, it was a small and a poor church. That is why the peripheries, those who are considered to be margins in the society, ang ato pang tawag anak nila, hindi ka mo tawag anak nga poor. We don't call them poor, no? There is a word for that, no nga gitawag nato sa simbahan nga present day excluded. Present day excluded or the margins of the society, no? Di mata offensive man kay nang moingon mga pobre, no? Offensive ka na siya. Sakitan bilata, no? Ingon ta nga pobre, sa pobre gol, ingon ta pobre, bawo na kang pobre, ingon gyud yung pobre. No, sabot pa gyud, no? So, tawag ana present day excluded. Pareho ko na mga idaran, di man natawag na to sa tiguwang. Suko man sa tawag na tiguwang. Sabay tawag ana nila chronologically advanced. Chronologically advanced, no? Pareha ko ng pinariso, we don't call them pinariso. Sa may tawagan na, person deprived of liberty, PDL. Diba? Di ba tayo yun? Kaya siya pinariso. Di na siya tawag pinariso. Person deprived of liberty, no? So ang pobre presently excluded, ang idaran siya tawag chronologically advanced, no? Ang katong piniriso presently excluded and etc. No, daghan na kay mga terms, no, that are not offensive and also inclusive, no? Inclusive siya para sa tanan. The margins of the society would really teach us how it is to be a church, no? Kadang margins magtudlo na nato unsa man yung simbahan, no? In a church, we should know each other by name, di ba? We should know each other by name. Kung namo po yung maralong isa, bisa nagtupad mo, wag mo kayo nas yung silingan, di ba? Bisan pag 10 years, 20 years, unless there is a social gathering in the subdivision or in the village, you came to know about your neighbor. Yeah, is that a kind of church, no, that we envision? That one is invisible. Ano gitawag na itong invisible? Naisilingan, so near, and yet so far. Yeah, mao din ang simbahan nga, so near, so no. Ang simbahan, we know people by name. No? So, bisag naa mo sa village, wa mo magkaila. Pero tanawa to mga marginalized, no? Tanawa to sa probinsya. Kautan ato, bisag pagsulod nga barangay, kaila nila, no? Kaya mato man ta dito, mahuwang tag-asin, Maghuwam tagbugas, dapat ilailahon dyan nato, no? No? So, mo nang kailataan. That's what a church is all about. We know people by name, no? Kaila nato sila, no? Nya, church din na siya kung di ta magkaila. Church din na kung what ay affection. Church din na when we don't know each other's story. So that is why church, my dear friends, is being enriched to our life as a church, is being enriched by our lived experience as well as our lived stories. No? Kanang atong personal narrative. You know, Jesus is a very good storyteller, di ba? Kabaw kay Jesus, yung may katong PR si Jesus. No? Close kay niya itong mga igsuon ni Lazarus. No? Kasaman, si Maria o Martha, they're very close. Wherever Jesus would travel, people always prepare snacks for Jesus. Pareho kung karon, no? Ang pare, asa mo ato, ang nagyutag snacks. No? Yung another time, Jesus is very good. He is a very good PR man. No? He's well connected. He know people by name. And Jesus knew their stories. No? So that's what a church is all about. So, participation. So, in the life of the parish community and also in the life sa atong handmaids of the Lord, every sector should be represented. Yeah, kabawagan ko nga, kitang tanan, nadula tayo mga household, right? Household, and we listen to stories of each other. Unya, mawa na ang atong invisibility. Sabi na invisibility. Naa ka, pero wa ka makita. No? Asa man siya makita? Mao na ang atong mga OFW na sa lagyong lugar ng mga kuan, no, kanang nag-serve, no, sa mga balay, no, sa mga Hong Kong ana. Naa ka, pero wa ka makita. No? You are just there to serve. After you do your service, bigan, mawa na ka. Your opinion doesn't matter. Your person doesn't matter. No? So that is why, as a church, it's very important that we have to recognize presence, participation. Kung saan na pag-participate, when every stakeholders is represented. No? Ya kamo tinguro sa handmaids, everyone is represented, right? Represented tanan. Somebody has to bring the sentiment of a particular sector. Yun na siya, no? Taga diri, unsa na siya. So, na siya representative that would voice out to the sector niya. Mao na siya actually ang idea sa itawag nato og coming naman ang election, no? Tawag nato sa tawag na nila kanang mga agimat. Ito natin party lists, no? Party lists. Kaya party list, ambot lang usa kay representaran anang agimat. Mga usa kana mga albularyo, mga nana, no? So, mo siya representation from the sector, no? Pero the last Congress, ang representative sa mga security guard, taba mo kinsa? Representative sa mga security guard sa party list.
Arroyo.
Anak ni Arroyo. Anak ni Gloria Arroyo. No? Di yun sa security, may representative sa security guard. No? So, mao ni ang atong realidad sa elections Pilipinas. So again, representation and participation of every stakeholders in the life of the church. Mao na ang pare, dili na naka-decide. Di na siya ka-decide nga, unlike sa una, ang pare, maoy, o decide sa tanan. Mao na nagitawag na nga, doon na mga pastoral council, advisory council, no, nga ang tanan is a product of collective, no, is a product of prayer, a product of, dialogue with the parishioners. Wala na kung sa unang ang pare mo decide, wala na siya. No? So, kung ang tanan na, no, is a collective decisions of the stakeholders of the parish. No? Nakaroon ba, nakapagyan na itong konsepto karon about sa mga parish priest, no? Ang nagtuutang ang parish priest po nagdawat sa atong kunikta sa simbahan, no?
Kita tagamay-gamay. Kita tagamay-gamay.
Oh, mahurutan lang ang panahos pare na inihap sa sinsiyo, no? Sige, ang atong
Labo na ni.
Atong first time, organize na siya. Doon na may treasurer, ato na padung tanan dito, no? Nagdami na tayo misconception nga, di may magpakasal, no? Kay mahal kayong bayad ng pare. Napamo anak. Di magpakasal, kay mahal. Daghang kayo namita na di pakasal, kay mahal kayong pare. Kamu no, taka-taka lang yun mo, no? Taka-taka lang yun, no? Pila na may madawas pare? 1,000, 1,500. Yung dako kang bayad ninyo sa cake, pating mahala, 10,000. Ang Buddha, 100,000. Ang reception, 200,000. Ang pare, 1,500. Kanya mga inyong pasinginan ang pare, di pakasal kay mahal. Nga kamura man yun nagmahal-mahal, kay gusto nyo mong nindot nga cake, nindot nga Buddha. Kung nang kamo, kung imbitan mo na ako kasal, akong palisiya, akong dawaton 10% sa inyong total nga gasto sa kasal. Dili, 1,500. O yan pala, o yun na sila si ate nire, no? Kay, o sayang pare, imong excuse nga, di, lahat yung pagkasal din, ipakasal kay, mahal ang simbahan, say mahal nga, kamura may nagmahal-mahal, di ba? Ang ato yung cake mahal, reception, ato yung sa hotel, Marco Polo, asa mo na ma-stress mo kay mahal niya. Ang pare niya, abit ako yung kasal nga, tigil akong dagan-dagan kay daghan kay mga requirements apas na ako, no? Yung maori lagi hapon 1,500 yung magtaon na ako dito kasal din na nagkapakapa og tag sa kalibo, no? Tag sa kalibo kanang nauso ron nga ang gabaong kasal butangan og kapa tag sa kalibo. Iti daghan mga 500,000 tingay ito. Ang ihatag sa ako 1,500 ra. So mauna ha. So ato na siya, ang atong simbahan is a participatory church. Ang tanan, adunay, ang tanan, paminawon, ang tanan, adunay, dapat iistorya. Okay? So, muna ang participation. So, daghan pa kayong aspeto ng participation. Sunod ko sa umata ng participation, mission. Isa ba yung mission? Pasabot na itong mission, no? I-contextualize na ko siya sa atong sitwasyon diri sa Asia. Kada sa ulog man ta sa 500 years of Christianity. Unsa man ang focus sa atong mission diri sa Asia. Ang mission nato is to dialogue with first the world's poor. Kabaw mo nga kinadaghang pobre sa kalibutan ani makita sa Asia, no? The world's poor. No? The biggest number of poor people are found in Asia. Second, dialogue with world religion. Kabaw mo nga the major religion in the world, Muslim, Hindu, usapan ng mga Shintoist, no? O Buddhism, asa na makitan? It is in Asia, no? Again, dialogue with world's poor, dialogue with world religion, and thirdly, dialogue with the world's culture, major culture. Kani sa Asia is a very unique. We have the very unique culture. Unlike madto ka sa Europe, o madto ka sa America, more or less ang ila pareha. But here in Asia, the world, the culture, the differences in culture is very obvious. Pakita yun ninyo, no? O sa niini, alitas Pilipinas, yung kitag dragon, kisi-kisi kita kas dragons, demonyo, no? Ato yun ang bukon na tanan itong mga jar kadunay dragon, no? Niya ato bubuan o bindita ang dragon, no? Kay naadya demonyo, no? Pero ato mo sa Vietnam, ato sa simbahan sa Vietnam, ang decoration puro dragon. Ang ilang insensaryo, gibutang sa dragon vase. Ang dekoraran sa obispo, ang decoration dragon, it is known as dragon throne. No? Dragon, para nila, dragon is sacred. Pero sa Pilipinas, dragon is evil. No? Why? Because it's the difference of the culture, kultura. No? Watagay nga ingon nga sila sayo, kita sakto. Why? Because we also find ourselves in a different context. No? A different context. Kung sa katawan sa ta, ato mo dito nila, ingon mo, sayo yung dragon, katawan sa ta nila. Sa ano ba, kay kita mga Pilipino, Ingon ta nga mga Kristiyanos, pero mutuo man tang marmarang, mutuo ta o tikbalang, mutuo ta o anananggal. Ha? Kung ato sa ibutang ito kagalingon nila, so ayun sa tanila, siya, di na tinuod, nara sa yung una-una, no? Pero kita, yung sa hayopsan mo, no? So, mo, importante kayo, isip Kristiyanos, we also have to dialogue with culture. So, tulo, world's poor, world's religion, and world's culture. Okay? Tulo na siya. Poor. Hisgot ang poor. It is in Asia nga makita nato ang kinadaghang pobre, no? Sa Asia. Where we can find so many people no nga that live below poverty line, no? Unya kani ang sitwasyon unsa ni grasya or disgrasya? Disgrasya in a sense so that the Lord wanted us to live a dignified life, no? Unsa man ang dignified life, no? To have enough to live a noble, to dignified life, no? Nga limpyo ta, no? Let us not equate Christian poverty with misery. Kanang misery lahi na siya, yung tao nga kuan na mo, lipahin ko kaningon na ba Ginoo nga blessed are the poor, no? Kuan na mo ipasabot Ginoo nga di mo mag-toothbrush, no? Dili na mo magkuan, no? Di mo mag-ilis kay poor lagi, no? Bulingit, no? Ingon ta nga malipay man ang Ginoo ani, no? Di na mo ipasabot sa Ginoo, no? The Lord wanted us to live dignified lives. So Bible ipasabot ani poverty that the Lord is talking, no, about this, no, nga gustong i-embrace nato sa Ginoo, no? So first, kung higot atong poverty, disgrasya kung ni mahitabo sa atuwa, no, nga the Lord wanted us to have enough. But again, it is also a blessing in disguise kung dunay lisod sa atong palibot. Ngano man kay ana tay responsibilidad, ana tay kagayunan nga mapaambit nato, we can share no Christian charity, no? Kung naata blessed as kinabuhi, no, sabi atong buhaton, when we are blessed in life, we should increase our charity. When we are blessed in life, we should not build long walls around, long fences, tall fences around our houses. But instead, let us build long tables. No? Kung daghan tag grasya na hitabos nadawat sa kinabuhi, instead magpahimo tag taas kay kural sa atong balay kay mahadlok tang sakon, no? Atong himuon noon maghimo tag taas nga lamisa aron mas makapakaon ta sa wala, di ba? So, di ba nato excuse nga wala ta? Ngunita nga, Pader, wa masad ko, nga sa papaghatag nako. It's not all about having. Charity is not all about having. No? Ano man, kung moingon ta nga, buhatag ta kung naata, daghan kay tao nga naa, sobra-sobra pa, pero wa man lagi banghatag. Di ba? Pero naay mga tao nga saktura or sahay kuwangan pa, pero kamantiguan mo hatag sa uban. So meaning, to have something, the haves is never a guarantee nor an assurance that you are going to be generous, that you are going to share other people. It's a disposition of the heart. No? Di ka nas kasi na matigo ka mo paambit sa uban. Parihan na sa mga ginikanan, di ba? Ayun yung mga ginikanan nga, istorya nga. Di ko katuon, no? Di ko katuon sa pagkaon, no? Kay hunahon na ako sa balay sa akong anak, no? Sa akong nabilin sa balay, ngawa sila dito. So di ko katuon, no? So mo na
Kuan diri naman siya agi sa RP.
nakita ko sa mata, papikita,
kuha ato dito lang.
di ba? Okay. Mao na siya world's poor, no? Siguro daghang kitang may istorya about aning poverty, no? Poverty. Yeah. There are so many expressions of charity in our midst. And there are so many expressions of poverty. And ang poverty, wala sa nabong pasabot nga, wala tay kwarta, no? Pato pang Mother Teresa, unsa man, the greatest form of poverty, no, is one if a person is unloved. No, when we are not loved, when we are not welcome, that is the more serious type of poverty. Iya mo na ang hitabo sa mga tao nga dunay kwarta, anya gubot kayo balay, no? So dahil kwarta kadaghan, ya di ka magkasabot, no, warag gihapon, way hinungdan tanan. Dahil daghang kwarta, sige away sa mga katigayunan, no, mga muhon. Pero mga muhon yun atong awayan, no, kay ipag-irog na nato mga muhon. Di ba? O, nya mag-away ta sa ipabilin sa atua, no? Mauna siya ang irony of life. Sometimes we spend so much energy collecting things, no, material things most often, but when we die, we are going to leave everything behind. Well, actually, mag-lockdown na to diyang kuan. Pag-lockdown niya sa iyang cheque diha, no? Wag yun, no? Biyaan na itong tanan, no? Ya, dagat ta mga ulikta, dagat ta mga gamit nga gusto nato, ni kamatay nato. Ihatod na sa atong kaliwat sa Japanese surplus, ibaligya na. Kita mo diya sa mga Korean surplus, dagat kay diha, no? Ha? Ang matag-iya ka na, asa na ka, no? Suko kay ito, hakot na dito, ilang mga jar, mga porcelain, to ano ito, gibaligya. No? So meaning, no? It is work for things, no, that will not tarnish, no, and perish, no. So again, dialogue with the words poor, no. Sa atong kinabuhi, let us always make the poor as a program of life, no. Kaya magtabang sa kabos. Nakoy kaning kuan, ako'y life-changing experience about poverty. Kaning kadang dapat tabangan, no, pero parihara ko sa uban nilabay, no, kaning sometimes sa una biyahe ko sa padong sa south, no, sa kahit ko na sa South Bus Terminal, yan tupan ng hospital, padong ka sa South Bus, doon naman ay ali diha, padong ka dito, yan labay ko dito, labay na ko, there was taong grasa, kanang taong grasa nga, hugaw na kayo, ana, he was lying there, naghiga siya, and he was catching his breath and he was dying. Imatyon siya. Nya, dam siya sa gianan. Ang talang tao nga muagi, mulikay na. Kay he was dying there. And nobody wanted to take responsibility. And like, I was in hurry, and just like anybody nga nilabay dito, just like them, agi na sa ko, nilikay ko. Okay, alis siya sa dam, imatyon siya, no, for sure. Hours after, days after, he died there. Yeah, nilabay ko, okay. I was catching up for the ride. Yeah, abot ko dito. But it is only when I was there that something sakay na ko that it dawns on me. No nga, kaingon ko nga, what makes me different? No, I am no different from the other people who just passed by, likay, no, kay, didn't want to take responsibility. No, so what hindi ko kalahian nila. And that image of a dying man, no, that is on the road, keeps on haunting me, perhaps until my last breath. No, I could have done something. I could have called the sisters of charity to pick him up there, no, to give him at least a decent death or a decent burial. Just like any other person is in a hurry to catch up with, no, the public ride, I opted to pass the other way because I don't want to take the responsibility. Kaya kato siya, it haunts me, no? Even in my dreams, no? That image of a dying man, taong grasa, I could still see, no, vividly, no, the ribs, no, kanang iyang ribs nga, iyang tiyan ni, upyak na, no? Daot na kay siya, you can count the ribs, and it was pulsating so slowly, and he's about to die. No, yeah. Just like anybody, just like those other people, I pass the other way because I don't want to take responsibility. Kaya pag-abot na ako, perhaps I could have done something, and yet I continue, laga na, no? But that image imprinted into my imagination. I was then very young. That image imprinted into my imagination, and perhaps it would stay forever deep within me. But it became a challenge. Now, why? Because with that, I have new resolves in my personal life, in my ministry. No, people, hindi ako manghambog, no? People I met, I knew, I'm supporting a lot of advocacies, I'm supporting a lot of charities, no? Bisag, wako, no? I pretend to have, no, in order to give. But the Lord will never also leave my pocket empty, no? Labi na sila ron dire sa akong tupan, nahatag na sila og ampaw. Kaya kuan ko no, plaskuhan, Valentine's, naghuwat lang ko sa Easter gift. No? The Lord will also never leave me empty because the Lord will see to it I always have enough and even extra to help those who are in need. No? So in other santa, no? Dialogue with the world's poor. And second, dialogue with the world religion. Religion, no? So Hinduism, Muslim, no? Reminded me of my teacher sa missiology. Ingon akong teacher sa missiology, when I was she is a nun, and she said, when I was in Egypt as a missionary sister, I was converted to Islam. Usa ka madre na convert sa Islam. Not technically, nahimo siyang Muslim, but she said, I was converted to Islam in my prayer life. Kapila man yung mag-ampo ang mga Muslim in a day? Not only 3, 5 times a day. The Muslim prays 5 times a day, facing the Mecca. Kitang Katoliko, manguros lang tag, magkilat. So, ringon siya, these people who prayed more than I are the people I'm going to convert to become Christian. How dare am I going to convert them when they pray better than me, when they pray more often than me? So na to pag-convert sila kasi sila mas ampo pag maayo kaysa tuwa. So that is why dialogue with the world religion is to see the beauty in other religion and try to be inspired by the sacred in others. To be inspired in the sacred of others. No? Kana sila, you see how Muslim men are the leaders of their prayer group. Ano mga prayer community nila? Na mga Muslim, sila yun ang leader ang mga lalaki. Ako, I am more inclined to believe that in heaven, there are more women than men. Diba? Tanawa ng simbahan, mas kasagaran yun na ang babae kaysa lalaki, no? Kaya ang asawa, driban sa bana, ibilyan sa simbahan, padayon sa buwangan. so mauna, no? So that is why learn from the sacred of the others, no? From the other religion. We don't have the right to convince them to convert to Christianity when we cannot surpass their religiosity. Diba? Grabe kasi na, ampo, mga babae nila, mga ito simbahan, purong yun na, no? Sakto yun, decent kayo, di yung kapasod doon. Bunalan yun ka kung ato ka dito, pero ang Katoliko, pero may na-crisis. Ikato simbahan, na-crisis ang sanina. Gamay na nabilin. Ha? Nag-save sa tila. Ha? Sila, tanawan na sila. At itong simbahan ng mga Muslim, sakto yun sa kwan, mataray, makita, no? Kaya mga born again, Jehovah's Witness, tanawan mga sayal na, tagas kayo, no? Pero Katoliko, at itong simbahan, crisis, no? So, mauna, very important, no? Learn from the sacred of others and try to adapt that one into us. No? And lastly, with this topic, mao nga dialogue with the world's culture. Okay? So, very beautifully, ang ato sa misa, sa Pilipinas, nasa element of Filipino, sa atong kanta, sa atong expressions, no? Daghan dito kayo nangutana pa there, what's the proper thing, no? Kamu siguro mo tanan sad mo singing of our Father, unsa ba mo dupata, mo dininitay ta, no? Kay uban, away man ang uban ana, kay is an issue for them. Ipangutanan na namo ni Father Chupongko, who is a liturgist, who is a liberal liturgist, yun siya nga, doon siya ang prinsipyo. Do not remove something from the people when you are not going to replace it with something better. No? Do not remove something when you are not going to replace it with something better. No? So para na itong mga Pilipino, ganahan mo yung taanan, anas pare, anak sa tag-apil, ginunita, ginunita isang ta, no? Hindi na siya allowed, no? Kay orange, dapat anak, pare rin anak, because he is lifting the prayers on behalf of the community to God. Yung pinakita ni Joy naman ta, is with a practice for generations. No? Yung mga lula sa una, inaana nag-practice pag-unitay. Unya, na ligon niyang pagtuo, there's a sense of community. Something beautiful is born out of it. No? Nindot, there's a sense of community. Unitay ta. No? Inautog ta, no? Kung simba na to, atong tupad atong kontra, inaana, gihapon ta, mag-unitay ta. Ha? Yung atong kontra, atong pag-ano na to, atong yung kontra, atong tupad, no? Oh, so, it could be a very good thing, no? Pag simba na to, natupad na itong kontra, ginilitay sa reconciliation happened. Something beautiful came out of it, no? So, again, it's very important that we have to put that into practice. You know, we are culturally and naturally happy people. Payo nun ta, di ba? In fact, when Japanese companies would enter into the Philippines, no, there's a program for is that Department of Trade and Industry, or that they're going to orient our Japanese bosses that this is how Filipinos, no, especially when faced with mistakes, no, kay ang Pilipino kasab-ani mo patawa man. Para nila, that's an insult, nga kasab-an ka, dapat you should wear a very serious face, no? Pero kita, kasab-an ta, musbahan na hinunta. Kung hindi masabtan nila, mga Japanese, masabtan, mga European, masabtan, paano nga Pinoy, nga itong kasab-an sa trabaho, mga buhat, patawa may noon. Diba? That is cultural, no? That is our saving grace, no? Pakaulawan ta, kasab-an ta, instead muhilak ta, instead muambak ta diya sa bintana, kay mag-suicide na ta, mukatawa hinuon ta, no? Mag-consumption na nangasaba nato. May maghikong. So that is very cultural, no? So it is also a saving grace nato mga Pinoy, no? So culture is very important in our spiritual life, no? Pwede sa atong relationship, no? As being church, no? And our culture would also enrich into the bigger culture of the church, no? Kaya pa ng simbahan, made up of different cultures. Yung atong culture would influence another and would enrich the church. Pagkita ingon sila, next Pope, kung ma-elect si Tagle, who is very possible candidate for papacy. Cardinal Tagle is very famous. He is now heading important offices in Vatican. He is now the head of the Caritas International. He is now the Borsar of the Holy Father. No? Borsar siya, igunit sa budget sa Holy Father. He is also in charge of the important offices, no? Evangelization of people. It's Cardinal Tagle who is in charge. So meaning, he has the potential to become Pope. Kung mahimo ko ng Santo Papa si Cardinal Tagle, may bawaan man na. Kamanaog ta og banting sa St. Peter's Square. Kabutangan na itong mga bantings, no? Nasa fiesta ba? Ako na higot. Filipino yun. Okay, so much of that, no? So, again, dialogue. The three things: dialogue with the poor, dialogue with culture, and dialogue with religion. No? So that's under dialogue, no? Mission. So again, participation, mission, and lastly, communion. Okay, communion. Kung sabay mo tayo yung communion, no? Practically, it's about the Eucharist, the communion, no? Very basic understanding. Communion. No? Com with union, united, no? United together. Kita sige tong away gid ani, no? Nato nag-text nako, sa cellphone. Somebody texted me siya, Father, no? Tingnan ako ni share and text ni siya nga. Saan ba karon nagbalik naman ang kuan, normal naman ta. Ito, cellphone. Ang cellphone na rin, ang tanay din siya, kaya iyak ng mga amiga, iya mga amiga, dili na mo, di ko simba, kay ganahan na sa kuan, unahan na sa online, no? Di na, bisan pa kunong kuan, ako na nang i-share, kay anyway, may pangani yan. Siguro mo sa inyong concern, no? Natugtanan? Yun siya, ha? I'll just read. Good morning, Father. I have some issues that needs clarification. A lot of my Catholic friends still hear Mass online. Rehan ninyo. Nag-uol ko kay Pastor Magsibot ikaw man. Gawa mo dire. Okay. Nagay Gcash. Okay, again, no? He said, good morning, Father. I have issues to clarify. A lot of my Catholic friends still hear Mass online. They are healthy. They just fear getting COVID in the church, but not afraid to get COVID from going to the mall, eating out, and riding the plane. They all say that it's okay to hear Mass online, that it is still acceptable by our church. They say it's one's preference, how they pray. Has our bishop lifted up the dispensation from Mass already? I have been telling them that since the churches are open, they should go to hear Mass physically and receive the Holy Eucharist. How else can I convince these people about returning to church? No? So which is a very valid concern. I'm very happy that there are also many people who really ask this question. No? They're also concerned for others. No? Kung saan yung concerns mga pare, kaya kung saan itong mga pare at itong pandemic, di ba? 2 years ago, way tao. No? Ang sibot, empty, ang sibot. Okay? Ang isang tutubag, yung ko nga, I'm going to say Mass. I will answer you later. What God? Una-una ako kasi ito. Okay, no? So with regards to this, communion online, no? So far, ato yung teaching ng simbahan that we have to receive, go to Mass, and make holy the Sabbath day. Bearing in mind, nga kay himo ni siyang balaod ang situation nga walay pandemic. Right? Walay pandemic. At we have to go to Mass on days nga walay pandemic. But extraordinary time, extraordinary circumstances, no, also calls for extraordinary measure. Na muna simbahan ingon nga, it's okay for us to attend online Mass and receive spiritual communion and still receive the same effect as if you are present. No? Present ka. Kunya, so far, wag agilip sa simbahan na siya nga balaod, no, nga pwede taan na. Ano man kay kada lugar kay lain man ang sitwasyon. It's up to us to appraise kung saan tabo sa ato nga tagsa-tagsa ka lugar. No, pagpaminaw nato, no nga wala okay na wato to simbahan, then let us go to Mass, no, on Sundays. But again, it could not be an excuse nga mahadlok ta mahimong COVID sa simbahan. Anya sige ta party, tuwa sa mall, pedicure, pa-colors buhok, no? Wata mahadlok sa nag-colors ito natin sa simbahan, mahadlok tabi kita ng excuse. Ang ultimate arbiter na ang ato radyong konsensya. Atong konsensya, no? So far, okay to attend still the online Mass and receive the same benefit as if we are present in the celebration. Wala pagilip sa simbahan kay nganuan kada lugar na line is up to us how to appraise the situation. But again, I hope that we are going to hunger for Jesus who is present in the Eucharist. No? There's no better way to enrich our spiritual life but to encounter and receive Him in the Holy Mass, communion. No? So I think it's already 11:41. No, I wanted to share a lot of things. No, perhaps we can do that one some other times. No, we still have to celebrate the Mass. So I thank you, no, for the time that you invited me to be here this morning, and hope to see you soonest. No, physically, and you take care. No, continue to celebrate the faith with your family, the domestic church. Let us always pray for one another. Amen, and good morning, and let us have a blessed and a holy week.